Next on planet Mars, we have incredible duo from Danske Bank, Donatas Bagdonas and Mantas Kukenys. Donatas has more than 10 years experience in project and product leadership roles, investment portfolio manager and strategic IT project lead in Fortune 500 companies. Mantas is experienced enterprise infrastructure and public cloud architect, lately empowering his best knowledge to stitch those two worlds together while building hybrid multi-cloud foundations in Danske Bank. So, without further ado, let's hear public cloud in regulated industry, not just swipe off a credit card.
Hello, good day everyone. So I can see a few people gathered today to listen about our cloud journey. So my name is Donatas Bagdonas. I'm a multi-cloud service owner. And today on the session with me, we are going to have Chief Multi-Cloud Architect Mantas Kukenys. So I will cover Danske Bank's cloud vision, ambition, and organizational challenges that we have experienced on the journey. While Mantas will talk about technical stuff, how the cloud is built, although this is a technical conference, so Mantas will speak more about that and technical challenges that we have experienced. So on the agenda today, why public cloud? Our cloud ambition, key organizational challenges and learnings, how it is built, technical challenges and learnings. The first question is why public cloud? And usually classical financial institutions such as banks don't go public. And words like bank and public usually don't go together. But this is not the case. As in Danske Bank, we are bank by name and startup by heart, and you can see those posters all around. So you will see going on further a few startupish things on what we are working on. A year ago, we started Better Ways of Working program across whole Danske Bank for the benefit of our customers. So Better Ways of Working is our ambitious transformation across the bank, which covers key three areas. It's customers, employees, efficiency, and risks. So with the customers, we aim to improve customer satisfaction by digitalizing end-to-end user journeys and ensuring faster responses for our customers and better user experience. With an employees, we want to become more engaging, less bureaucratic workplace by breaking down the silos and putting decisions for our employees. As well, we want to attract talent, which likes to work with the latest technology and embrace them to use the latest technology within the bank. On the efficiency and risk, we will digitalize our processes, remove manual work, those increasing efficiency and minimizing the risks of which are caused by manual work. So a public cloud is a really key accelerator in Danske Bank's journey. So we have two main aspects here. The first one is unlocking business value. So with the speed, because we aim to provide public cloud services at a really bigger speed than current solutions that we have, we want to provide flexibility, such as scalability, in a public cloud, and state-of-the-art services such as artificial intelligence and machine learning. On the other hand, we want to enhance and optimize our infrastructure, so increase security, and therefore it's interesting that security goes together with the public cloud, as we know that public cloud vendors really strive on the security, so we want to offer our teams state-of-the-art security services. As well, we want to modernize our applications, which we build on premise. So basically build applications with cloud readiness inside, and optimize costs. As well, cost optimizations are for a specific workloads. So these workloads, such as scalable at certain times and flexible, therefore we find the opportunities to optimize costs, and as well avoid building additional infrastructure in the future. So our cloud ambition, how we are going to build or how we already built a public cloud in Danske Bank. So our vision that the public cloud is integrated part of the bank. As any of the services that we have on premise, public cloud would be accessible for all of the developers in Danske Bank. So we have key areas in our ambition. So cloud first, we want to build cloud native applications and deploy to a public cloud, and developer focused. So this public cloud offering should be available for all of the developers in Danske Bank with a cloud native experience and with the embedded security. Within deep dive with the cloud first, what do we mean by that? So build cloud native applications to exploit advantages of the cloud computing delivery model. So elasticity, distributed nature, scalability. Basically, we aim to modernize our application build and build for cloud nativeness. And then we will decide where to deploy, either as Simonas mentioned, on premise in the private cloud or on public cloud, where it makes sense and where we have a business case. The second area is cloud is secure and accessible. So cloud should be accessible by all of the developers and with the security and compliance in mind. So that means that a multi-cloud team within Danske Bank provides secure services already with embedded security controls, and developers doesn't need to think about how to set up a security. That is already done by the multi-cloud team. The third principle is embrace native services. So we are looking forward to leverage cloud native services to maximize the access for the state-of-the-art capabilities and avoid the abstraction layer. So we are not limiting our developers to use cloud native capabilities. Moreover, we embrace that. And the right cloud for the right job. So basically, public cloud is not really a panacea or a cure for everything. So we want that ability to choose the right cloud, either is on-premise or our private cloud too, either is a public cloud. So we want to enable that freedom. The next principle is developer focus. So our teams have frictionless access to cloud services. Cloud services accessible to everyone, meaning that every developer in Danske Bank has an opportunity to use cloud services. The other principle is that we have developed a framework where developers can prioritize their needs. So for the specific services which they want to use in the public cloud, and they have the mechanism to provide a feedback for us which service they think should be secured in the first place. And now we are going into built-in compliance part, where we have security controls and compliance built into our services. And Mantas will touch on that from the technical aspects. As well, native experience, as I mentioned, we are avoiding that abstraction layer and avoiding adding additional blockers for our developers. So our cloud setup in Danske Bank is a hybrid. Currently, we have Cloud 2 on-premise offering. The other public cloud vendor, which is already in place, is Amazon Cloud. It's Amazon Services. And as we are multi-cloud bank, we are looking forward to have multiple cloud vendors, and that will come into the future. At the bottom, we have a cloud management layer and how it is built from the technical perspective. Mantas will look into that and will talk about architecture. Key organizational challenges and learnings that we have experienced. As I mentioned, we have two parts here on the cloud journey. We have the organizational bit where everything needs to be set up and aligned within the organization. So the first takeaway is we experience a lack of the defined processes in the bank. As previously, public cloud was not something that we have done previously, and it was not a topic which was discussed previously within the organization. A year ago, maybe a little bit more, a year and a half ago, we even didn't talk that we are going to go public. So the processes were not in place, and we had to define those processes, how we are going to outsource basically our data center to a public cloud vendor, which is AWS. The second bit goes from the first one, is that we had to involve compliance early on. And the good thing that we realized that we had to work together with the teams to make it happen. Compliance and legal people alone, without understanding the technology, without understanding how it is working, they cannot come up with the solutions or suggestions how we are going to deal with the compliance. The third bit and lesson learned that everyone wants cloud in the public cloud in the organization. Everyone wants to try the services, and basically it is perceived public cloud being a very cool thing, but not everyone has the skill set and knowledge. And we carried multiple sessions within Danske Bank to familiarize people with the concept itself, and then as well we carried multiple training sessions for the developers where they could sign up and gain that knowledge. The next thing is that we have experienced limited guidance on how to implement regulatory requirements. So basically, European Union, FSA, Financial Conduct Authority, and European Banking Association tells what controls need to be in place or what you need to do, but they do not tell you how to do it. And that is the key thing, that each company has to work it by themselves, how to sort it out and how to be compliant with the public cloud. Then we have the financial model in the public cloud. It is completely different than we had on premise in our own data centers. And it starts specifically from the planning phase. Basically, on premise, there is a different model where you plan your resources, you allocate money to a certain department, then they buy servers, they bring them into the data center, and then it goes like this. With the public cloud, you are being charged per use, and that completely changes the model within the overall organization. So basically, we had to work out with the finance and our chief finance officer how we are going to define cloud cost management, and we worked around that model as well. So next on the agenda, we have how cloud is built, and on the technical bit, my colleague Mantas will cover.
Thank you. Okay. I was listening to Donatas and I thought that I will start from a joke. Clearly missed dress code here in this conference. I've seen three people with suits and all of them are from Danske, so probably we are in wrong conference, right? Yeah, we have one slot or a couple slots tomorrow. Probably we'll fix this situation, coming with hoodies or something like that. Right. So you got the point. Like in 15 minutes, what's the reasoning and why bank is going to the public cloud is really big strategic agenda, and a lot of work has been done to sell and to engage organization and to build awareness. And you understood from what Donata said that it's now on the edge. It's important. I'll try to explain to you how we're doing that, and just setting the scene. I'm not a developer, and you will not see too much of the code or how to write code in the cloud. You will not see how to architect applications in public cloud. What you will see here is how to build the middle layer, and that middle layer is something what would enable developers. So it's also very much important, because if you don't have that enablement, probably you don't want to go there because you cannot work. So let's get rolling then. Public cloud brings so many opportunities, right? And why just not to use them? And it is so easy. You just come and do a couple of clicks. Every major public cloud vendor offers basically a very smooth onboarding experience. You just enroll yourself and off you go. But no one wants to build shadow IT. No one wants to have multiple environments across the globe, which would be hosting business critical applications, especially in financial institution. So you just cannot allow yourself or your people taking credit card, swiping it, exiting to internet, and then you are in public cloud. It's much complex game to play. So you must be compliant against of number of regulations in data center called public cloud, operated with shared responsibility model, where roughly 200 services in every major public cloud provider must be secured and continuously operated at scale. And biggest challenge comes here when we think about the scale. So basically, key takeaway after the session, or at least this part, should be that you will understand operational setup to run it at scale across multiple public clouds. So it all comes about the management. So you cannot let public cloud run on its own. Even if wise people made a lot of job, they done many services, so they are managed. You don't need to touch them, but upper layers still is your playground. And the way you decide configuration, the way you decide those services will be consumed, it will be something specific. That specific is management. You need to manage. So just to set the scene, very busy slide, sorry for that. It's our private cloud, and we had or have gonna have speech by other colleague who is talking about private cloud, and it's really state-of-the-art offering. It's really great setup, newest technologies. You can basically survive with it easily, but apparently that was not enough. So private cloud has own tools. It has own automation, and it's really easy to consume. There is boundary. In classic enterprise, boundary is usually depicted as a network perimeter, and you have your security boundary there. But then you start thinking about public clouds, and here game changes a lot, because it has totally different boundaries, right? Identity and access management becomes new network perimeter. Everything is API based. You don't talk anymore firewall rules. You don't talk anymore network. You start talking APIs and identity access management. So it's totally different posture of security you are going into. Then it means that we need to secure those services which are running in public clouds. Because if you start consuming by default any resource, it can be storage account, S3, it can be compute, containers, whatever you take, it comes with default configuration, which is not necessarily secure. And now we come up to terminology. What does it mean not necessarily secure? And you can argue, different people will come up with different definition, but basically it's already most of parts of that definition is defined by security standards, and they are very much available in industry. So we in the bank, we tend to comply against all those aforementioned. What it means in practice that every standard comes with semi-technical explanation of how your configuration needs to be done. For example, that your S3 bucket cannot be with public access, or it has to be encrypted in transit or at rest. And you have to take that control, translate into technical language, and then figure out how you apply it. And you have to apply it on hundreds and hundreds of environments. And you think that it's not easy job anymore. So in addition, hybrid comes, which doesn't make life even easier. Definition of hybrid again is subjective, but I think of it in very simple manner. Basically, you extend corporate network and you extend corporate identity provider, identity access management, RBAC, role-based access management, to public cloud. This way you kind of turn the switch on, which enables things running in the private cloud to be extendable, one-to-one, but still to be extendable in the public cloud. They can communicate, they can authenticate, authorize, and there is hybrid already. So this game is pretty much complex, and we understood that the only way to provision landing zones in hybrid setup, in multi-cloud environment, keep them compliant and secure continuously and at scale, is infrastructure as a code, orchestrated via cloud management tool, and we call that tool Cloud Factory. I hope you can read description of landing zone, so I'm not going to do that for you. But in next few minutes, we're going to discuss Cloud Factory and how do we architect it and how do we build it. And that's basically our answer to being continuously compliant at scale in public cloud. Last but not least, cloud management layer. So we just cannot, forget end users and consumers. They have to ensure that there is unified user experience. They can consume both worlds smoothly. So we are building loosely coupled management tools. In probably 3 to 4 slides, you will see what I mean. But essentially, it's not monolith. It's something what can be basically talk to each other, the APIs. And one disclaimer, probably would be interesting to discuss with you all, but not this time. We're not explaining here, reasoning why it's multi-cloud, why just not to pick up one and build everything there, and probably complexity would shrink 10 times at least, but next time. So cloud management tools. I'm borrowing this nice picture from Gartner. It's really strategic decision you need to make. And that decision comes with buying it from the market versus building it by yourself. And you have to understand that cloud management function is not just single function. It's not manual. You cannot do clicking and think that it works in enterprise. It's covering quite wide areas, 7 domains at least. Like service request, provisioning, orchestration, cost management, cloud migration, DR, backups, identity security and compliance, monitoring, inventory and classification. All those domains has even more sub-functionalities beneath. So you really need to think what is your game, what you want to cover. Are you covering all of it at once? Do you want to go step by step? And how you're going to do that? Because in single cloud mode, you can go ahead and use native tools easily. Every public cloud supplier will offer you basically full coverage. It's only a matter how you're gonna use it. If you're gonna go multi-cloud setup, then scale grows dramatically, and you understand that going purely natively probably not going to work, because you need to basically have people, have competence, have automation tools directly talking to every native cloud tool set explicitly or one-to-one. Why not to go and buy something from the market? Many selections, you can lose your mind by even trying to understand what's there, but this means that probably you need to run due diligence, do many proof of concepts, and still some area will not be covered. So what we have decided is that we're going to build it by ourselves, and it will be in-house build cloud management toolset with combination of a little bit of cloud native. And functionality which will be covering, at least in first phase, would be public cloud landing zone provisioning. So all the baseline infrastructure components, meaning network, VPC, VNet, keys, encryption keys, routing, network segmentation, name resolution, all the basic infrastructure which needs to be in place. It will be bootstrapped and at scale provisioned to every cloud. Next one is once you do provisioning of landing zone, you need to make sure that you are not deviating from the baseline, that your state is the same, or if you change the state, it has to change everywhere the same way, preferably at the same time, not waiting for 2 weeks. So next feature is continuous core infrastructure deployment, continuous security and compliance. I touched already 2 of those with landing zone provisioning and deployment. Next one, identity and access management. Obviously, in hybrid setup, you cannot build 3 or 4 identity management systems. One would be on-premise, usually, let's say, Microsoft Active Directory or something like that, which is authenticating, authorizing users or systems or applications within the perimeter, and then you would have separate identity provider in GCP, AWS, or Azure. It's not going to work. You have to have one unified, so life cycle would be the same, security principles would be the same applied on that identity provider. So we managed to build it so that we took a whole on-premise ideology, if we can say so, and it's combination of tools, processes, and operations, and extended it to public. So basically, developers or users don't have to worry, how do I authenticate, which identity do I use? It is the same as I am employee of the bank. I'm using the same identity to get Templar tokens and get access to the cloud. Billing reporting, obviously, and then a little bit explanation about shared infrastructure orders. So once we deploy baseline, you cannot fit all the needs by default. Some people want to have extra load balancers. Some people want to have probably more VPCs or more subnets. So idea is to have sort of shared Terraform modules, which could be sourced by other teams, and you can take it, parameterize it, and deploy it to your environment. Or then have even larger setups, which usually depicted as blueprints. So you are basically pre-building some default application architecture with Terraform modules. Once you push them all, they will build stack of needed components for you. So that shared infrastructure orders would be sort of orderable. It doesn't come by default, but with API or UI, you can call it. So we decided to build it, as you understood, with those functionalities. So probably it's interesting to know more a little bit how we do it and how it runs. So general view is such, basically, that there is on the left, right-hand side public cloud, on other side bank infrastructure. Then we take infrastructure as a code. It's not rocket science, nothing new probably to you. The only choice we made is that we decided to go with Terraform. So it's not CloudFormation, not ARM templates. It's Terraform, which gives us flexibility to be multi-cloud agnostic. We use also Tergrant to keep Terraform code dry. But other than that, nothing major. And then CI/CD pipelines, I will explain a little bit more about that in a minute. GitOps. GitOps, it's like a mirror to actual infrastructure, what is provisioned, which is stored in Git repository, expressed in the code. So we have sort of full trust and the single source of truth in GitOps repository, what is deployed actually in public cloud in terms of infrastructure. And last one, which is grayed out, we have different names internally, but essentially it's microservices, consumable via APIs, and I colored it gray because it's gray area. It's internal know-how. It's coded and built in with huge logic by our team, and this is where basically most of the logic comes from. High-level architecture is very simple. We have microservices. We have messaging in the middle. Then, of course, we have to manage API somehow. So you put API management layer on top of that. Then nothing is working without clients. You need to have clients to have someone to consume your services. Surely you need to integrate because we're building hybrid. So you need to reach other subsystems. And then CI/CD and pipelines plays the role. So if I overlay this architecture with actual architecture of implementation, it's something like that. Sorry for bad coloring, but I'll explain a couple most critical components. So first one is microservices, and there are a few of them. One of most important is workflows. Basically, it's orchestration engine which decides what to do, what pull requests to take, what parameters to take, and stuff like that. Next microservice, which is also very important, is the one which is authorizing and authenticating and authorizing users or any other principles. And there are more. I will not go through them all. But obviously, messaging in the middle, we use RabbitMQ for it. GraphQL for the API management and consolidation. Various clients like UI for simple users, admin portal, CLI for developers, and SDK. And integrations. So basically, in the hybrid world, you cannot live without integration. So for example, just to build at scale corporate network in the cloud, you need to quickly get blocks of subnets, of network subnets, which are routable from on-premise. So you just cannot go to network guy and say, look, open your Excel and give next available /23 or /24 to me. You want to automate it. So we are calling API. It's in our terms, it's VRO, man in the middle, which is calling IPAM system and getting next available block available or dedicated for multi-cloud. And then we're taking this block and slicing it into pieces and the provisioning VPC with subnets in every zones. So quite big logic behind the scenes, and without such type of automation and integrations, I mean, you just stuck, you cannot continue at scale. And bit number 7, I'll explain architecture and a little bit of flow of number 7 in next slide. It's busy, sorry here, but basically I think it's last and probably most technical slide in technical conference, so bear with me. Components. We're running almost it all on private cloud. So I said it's quite sophisticated. One, we have OpenShift platform, so you can containerize your services and run it there. So we run Cloud Factory main component on containerized environment. Then there are a couple repos, number 2 and 3. First one probably coming back once, yeah. So number 2 is repo where we store all Terraform modules, and they are basically with multi-repo setup. So they live own life cycle. They don't know anything about each other. And we are not deploying code from there. It's just basically Terraform module. Then code or infrastructure is being deployed from different repo. Terraform infra state GitOps, and it's referencing previous repo and getting parents, and parents are Terraform modules, which are provisioning infrastructure. But this state repo is basically GitOps repo where all the parameters, all Terraform versions, latest ones, which are actually applied in public cloud, they are stored here. So this is our source of truth. This is where we basically mirror what is actually deployed. We use Azure DevOps to build pipelines, and then pipelines doesn't run without agent pools. Actually, yesterday build slide is already outdated because agent pools are being run now in the public cloud itself. So what we're doing, we are basically utilizing EKS in AWS case, and we are spinning up needed amount of agent pools directly in the AWS, and they will be provisioning terraformed infrastructure to AWS. So kind of cool. And then about the flow. So starting with number 6. So imagine we have security incident, and SOC team comes to us and says, look, there is major breach. Impact is huge, but you can mitigate it with simple tweak. You need to close one firewall port. Just example, right? And imagine your infrastructure in the cloud is like not even hundreds, but thousands of accounts. Accounts is in AWS terminology, subscriptions is in Azure terminology, right? Projects is in GCP terminology. But basically, you are running hundreds or even thousands of them. So in classic world, it would mean that you would need to connect to every account via UI and find needed port and click it how many times? Many times. Switch to the other cloud, do the same. So probably doing little change across the fleet would take days, if not weeks. So with our approach, what it would be happening that basically multi-cloud engineer would change the code. He would merge it into repo, and then webhook would trigger, which would basically run pipeline, and multi-cloud management API would do some job. The job is parameterizing, putting some variables, and doing all other needed stuff, and then calling pull request to GitOps repository. And here, needed configuration changes would be placed or stored or merged, let's say so, which needs to be deployed. So what I explained in our example given was firewall port change. So that change would be depicted here. And then next pipeline would be triggered by a webhook. Needed amount of agents would be spinned up, and code would be pushed to all clouds in a minute. In emergency, approval by secondary engineer must happen for the pull request in means of chat ops. So message to Teams channel would be posted that someone is raising pull request, please approve. So that's roughly architecture flow, and I hope that I managed to explain it at least in those 15 minutes to you what Cloud Factory is, how it's built, what it is, and yeah, we call it Cloud Factory. In summary, I have 4 but very big takeaways. I will not start with challenges because there were many of them and still there are, but first one is infrastructure as a code, no excuses. So don't look for shortcuts. Someone might come and say, look, just click there and there and you get me running. It will be just managing exceptions. You need to start with infra as a code from the beginning, and this will be probably a little bit slower start, but then you will be running very fast. Design for scale. Next one. So public cloud is scalable. Yes, everyone knows it, but your management tools should be scalable as well. So you need to build it to run parallel changes on your environment. It has to be scalable that you can manage basically all clouds. There are many accounts, so your management tools should scale the same way as public cloud does. Make your choices from the start. Basically, spend enough time before you make decision. Are you buying some cloud management tool from the third-party market, what there is, or are you building yourself, or is there something hybrid in between, or are you just doing ClickOps? And hybrid is a challenge. So some things doesn't scale. We have IPv4 challenge going from on-premise to cloud. Identity is not easy to bring to the cloud and scale it as well. Different ways of doing it. So yeah, hybrid is a challenge. With that, thank you very much for your attention.
We have no questions online, but maybe anyone here on site? Aha, we have a question. Bear with me while I run to you with the microphone.
Okay. So my question was kind of technical, but why RabbitMQ and not Kafka? I know I might not get an answer, but I have to ask it.
It's easy choice for us. I mean, it's just private cloud offer which you can onboard yourself easy and consume it. And probably to get very more specific, engineering type of answer. You could approach me. I will engage with developer who did it, and he will give your opinion. But sometimes it's personal. People knows how to consume RabbitMQ. Sometimes it's the way you can onboard yourself, and Kafka might not be ready tomorrow, for example. But it suits our needs, basically. It's fast. I mean, you can choose from many messaging systems. You can even build such capability in the cloud and use SQS or something like that. But it was just suiting our purpose very well for now.
Any more? Yeah.
I have to take my kids from kindergarten, so don't take too long.
Right. So there are workloads, virtual machines that must run in dedicated like PCI DSS regions with sensitive information and etc. So I was just wondering whether the hybrid model connecting both the on-premise cloud and the public cloud, would the part of the public cloud be capable of basically running those or preparing the environment in such a way that we could put the sensitive workloads and virtual machines in public cloud, and whether that's desirable in general at all?
Very good question. You know what? Actually, if you read carefully PSI DSS requirements, you cannot build PSS DSI compliant workload in on-premise. Because, for example, you need to have, sorry or thank you to Microsoft, but you need to have Azure AD ATP certain functionality to protect PSI DSS. So it turns out that running PSI DSS compliant workloads is even easy achievable in public cloud. But I see two parts of the question you asked. So next part is many controls related with those benchmark standards which I showed. Some of them are saying that you need to operate only in EU, right? Some says that your VM needs to be PSI DSS compliant, and then there are a list of like 50 plus, I don't remember, requirements. And then you play your trade-offs. In EU is easy. We set up a policy on top of organization that no one can deploy anywhere around the globe, just in EU area. And actually, for now, it's only one region in all the clouds. Next one, then you see what you can do with your VM. And you know, of course it's requiring encryption at rest, in transit. It requires certain life cycling, backupping. Then PII data needs to be protected and stuff like that, masking and things like that. But these are very detailed controls. And I mean, what in practice we do, we just at scale run control assessment. And for now we do it with native tools, Defender for Cloud or Security Hub, and we see what's compliant, what's not. And then we make our trade-offs, how do we fix it? That's in practice.
Thank you very much, Mantas and Donatas. If you have any more questions, feel free to visit both of them at Danske Bank booth at the Expo area, both on site and online. And let's give them a round of applause for a very interesting and awesome presentation.